Welcome back to the Concerning Cafe. My name's Joe, and today we're talking about the Unsolved Mystery Iceberg, Part 2. And in case you don't know what an iceberg video is, it's structured like an iceberg. And there's more well-known pieces of information on top, with the further down you get, the more obscure and usually strange the topics become. Now, if you like what you see here today, please subscribe and like the video, and without further ado, let's go in. Lost media. Lost media is more a type of unsolved mystery rather than a mystery in itself. Lost media is media such as TV shows, songs, and games that people remember from when they were a kid or another time in the past. Some people find the concept of lost media creepy, I think, because they are in a way reminded of their own mortality. These items are forgotten, and one day you will be too. A lot of these come about because the internet either wasn't vast enough to have cataloged the media, or the internet wasn't even around yet when the media was more widespread. Users on Reddit and elsewhere online will post either requesting help or assisting others in finding these. Perhaps the most well-known piece of lost media is a song from Germany in the 80s called Like the Wind, or else as you see on YouTube, The Most Mysterious Song. This recording survived because somebody that lived in Germany in the 80s was recording a lot of broadcasts from a certain radio station and eventually uploaded it online, seeking help finding the artist and the name of the song. The search rages to this day, and after this video, I would encourage you to go and search that song yourself because it's actually really good. Another example is a game called That Evil Farming Game. A video game where you commit morbid crimes and hide your wife's body from search. Unfortunately, some of these will likely never be found because they predate the internet, and that repository of information may no longer exist. The Tylenol Murd3rz. There's a good chance I'll be doing a video on this soon, but the Tylenol Murd3rz were a series of cases where bottles of Tylenol were poisoned in Chicago area grocery stores and pharmacies. 7 people would ultimately die during this case, with the person or group responsible never getting caught. Johnson & Johnson, the parent company of Tylenol, recalled all bottles of extra-strength Tylenol, leading to a multi-million-dollar loss for the company. However, this rare decision by a company to put people's health ahead of profits won them a lot of good PR across the country. Also, if you're ever wondering why there's a metal or plastic strip covering bottles of medicine and some drinks, this is why. Cicada 3301. Cicada 3301 is the nickname given to a set of puzzles that were posted on the message board 4chan between 2012 and 2014. Each puzzle ran for about a year, with Puzzle 1 posted January 2nd, 2012, the second January 4th, 2013, and the third on January 4th, 2014. 2 of the 3 have been confirmed to be solved. It was claimed by the organizers that they were using them to find highly intelligent individuals to join their group. A large focus of these were data encryption and puzzle solving. To this day, we don't know who was behind these puzzles, with theories that maybe it was the CIA or NSA searching for employees, to the Masons and Illuminati searching for others to help in their nefarious deeds. Since these puzzles have been solved, there have been interviews with individuals who were the solvees and say they were asked their thoughts on topics such as personal freedom and censorship. If they answered in a way the organizers were happy with, they would be let into a private online forum to work on other similar projects. This suggests they may be hacktivists, working to promote a more free internet. But what do you think? Who do you think was behind this project, and why? Number stations. Unlike in spy movies, a real-life spy can't just radio to somebody or make a cell phone call and say, hey, need help blowing up this thing or taking down this person. There's agencies like the NSA, they're gonna get caught. So they need a way to talk to their home base in code. I briefly touched on this in Tier 1 under the WebDriver Torso section. Number stations date back to as early as World War I, and they are radio stations that broadcast codes. These codes can only be decrypted by the person or group it was intended for, because they're the only ones with the book that tells them what the codes are. While Web Driver Torso wasn't a number station, there are several that are known to have existed. These systems were heavily used during the Cold War, one being the Lincolnshire Poacher, which was ran from British Air Force bases. Number stations are still used to this day, with some being found in the US as recently as the 2010s. The Dancing Plague. The Dancing Plague of 1518 was a case of mass hysteria in France, affecting between 50 and 400 people in the village of Strasbourg, France. The event started with one woman dancing in the streets for a whole week, with over 30 more joining her. By the next month, hundreds of people were affected. Some fell victim to exhaustion, dying from heat stroke and heart attacks. It got bad enough that the town had to ban music for a while. As outlandish as it may seem that hundreds could be active for so long, we have notes from doctors and government letters dating back to those days. To this day, we aren't sure what caused this in the first place. Some speculate that it was a case of mass hysteria. There was a lot of turmoil in the region at the time, and this stress could have caused people to lose it and have a dance-off like at the end of Shrek. Another explanation is that a psychedelic was growing on the rye that was used to make bread. When ingested, it gives similar effects to LSD. It is actually the same fungi that LSD was first synthesized with. Purpose of dreaming. Have you ever woken up confused because you swore that you were dreaming and that everything you experienced was real? Or maybe you dreamt you were playing D&D with the Founding Fathers. Well, you're not the only one who wonders why you dreamt that. In fact, we don't know why we dream at all. Although there is some understanding behind the mechanisms of dreaming. In the deepest stage, REM, or rapid eye movement, chemicals are secreted by the brain that cause you to become paralyzed. This is a good thing, because otherwise we'd be running around acting out our dreams. Despite these hallucinations, most of your brain is shut down during the process, except for imagery interpretation. Sleep doctors have spent ages poring over dream journals and interviewing patients to try and figure out what was going on. Some doctors see dreams as just being strange sequences of images and sensory hallucinations that don't have any meaning. Others see it as your subconscious trying to warn of danger or remind you of your deepest desires. On the other hand, which at this point would be 3 hands, dreams may be a way for your mind to sort through events of that previous day. This would explain why sometimes dreams seem to reflect events and people you saw the day prior. The wow signal. Astronomers at Ohio State University were conducting a scientific study that used powerful satellites to scan for alien radio waves. The idea was that, on a specific frequency, signals could be sent by an abundant resource of the universe. In 1977, one of these operators was looking through printouts to find patterns and found a section of patterned code that could have only come from an intentional signal. The name comes from an observant writing "Wow" next to it on the page. Some people see this event as evidence that we're not the only planet with life on it. Multiple studies have been conducted since then, trying to replicate this finding, but none of them have been successful so far. The Max Headroom Incident. The Max Headroom Incident was a series of broadcast hijackings in the 80s. There was a character back then called Max Headroom, and this freaky looking guy got on TV during the news in a mask and just stared at the camera. Like, look at this face. It looks like it belongs in a remake of The Strangers or something. The second hijacking happened the same night during an airing of Doctor Who, and the guy in the mask mocks the sports anchor of the station. Things got a bit racy, with the guy having his pants pulled down and a woman hitting him with a fly swatter. There had been other cases of broadcast intrusions in the past, so it was expected they would make quick work of the case. The FCC investigated and was never able to track them down. It's thought, based off how broadcasting worked back then, that they may have worked for the station, as they would have needed a large satellite to hack in otherwise. The Black Dahlia. This is a cold case from the 1940s that has gained notoriety over the years due to its shocking details. A resident in a California town comes across a very unalive woman who had been cut in half at the waist. Upon closer look, the body was drained of blood and scrubbed clean. Police were able to run her fingerprints and identify her as Elizabeth Short from Massachusetts. Elizabeth, after a rocky marriage, packed up and moved to the West Coast to pursue dreams of being an actress. Back to the case. Due to the meticulous dissection and cleaning, medical students and professionals quickly became suspects. Hundreds of students at USC alone were interviewed. However, none of these turned up a possible lead. One suspect was a man named Mark Hansen, an owner of a nightclub near the victim's residence, as well as her landlord. He was practically a stalker, attempting to forbid her from seeing other men, despite not even being in a relationship. However, he had an alibi, saying he was at a movie theater on the night of the unaliving. Given how much time passed, and forensics being in its infancy back then, there is unfortunately little hope that this case will ever be brought to justice. Black Knight satellite photos. During the construction of the International Space Station, members of the team saw what they thought was a shadow at the edge of Earth's horizon line. They were able to snap a photo, and they saw an object that almost perfectly blended into the background of space. Theories floated around, no pun intended, that the object was a UFO and not an asteroid due to the curves and corners of the object. As theories progressed on Earth, most came to agree that it might be a spy satellite of alien origin. Believers argue that aliens from a faraway planet must have sent over a spy satellite to watch us secretly. Skeptics then point to the fact that there were a lot of reports of astronauts and other engineers dropping pieces of debris while construction was happening. But what do you think? Do you think this was a result of irresponsible employees? Or are aliens secretly out there, watching our every move? Please, let me know. If you're seeing this, that means you made it to the end. Thanks. Please let me know your thoughts below and anything you might like me to cover in the future. Until then, I'll see you next time.